The logic isn't right, but it's not necessarily wrong either. That's how gambling gets really tricky.
Ray, don't you do it. She didn't do it.
All you, Shouty. Welcome back, YouTube. We are pulling today. Single arm pull downs, some chest supported rows, all sorts of just vertical, horizontal pulling, a lot of back, a little bit of biceps, a little bit of rear delts. Pretty standard. Feeling almost back to normal post cruise. So reach for it, get it. All that to move the weight down. Weights are a little lighter than normal.
That muscle mind connection is definitely not good. I don't think physically I could have handled the same thing. It was just so fun to have everyone there. There was minimal drama.
I saw on a podcast though, they say that if any vacation, on average, your peak excitement happens at 43 hours in. 43 hours. That's when you peak in happiness that you're on vacation. And it's like, it slowly comes down from there. But they say usually it's associated with like a lot of the firsts. Like you go to a beach, like the first time going to the beach, the first time going snowboarding, the first time eating like a meal at a certain restaurant. It's not like right when you get there because you have to deal with all like the logistics of getting checked in and stuff like that. But the peak is like second day is when you're gonna have the best time. And then after that, it slowly trickles off. Unless drugs. The one you thought they were gonna drop Friday? The one you thought he was gonna drop Friday?
I expect it. It's so good.
Sweat out the toxins. Maybe also just get rid of a little bit of water before the check-in tomorrow. Ooh. The important thing with this movement and just a lot of back movements in general is not elevating from the trap to the point where you're just like unpacking that shoulder. You're thinking about keeping that shoulder kind of packed, stretch from that lat at the top, not from the trap, lat, and pull. So really that shoulder stays in the same position and the elbow just kind of rotates around. That's why like a straight arm pull down or pullovers are such a good exercise, is because it keeps that shoulder in one position and just allows you to rotate as opposed to reaching through that shoulder. Gotten to the point with the bulking diet though, that I'm not like constantly stuffed yet. Like my hunger is caught up. So be curious to see. Well, yeah, I've been just at about 4,000 calories a day right now. And my weight's kind of staying the same. My hunger. No, not having a weight goal helps. It's just like having a look. So.
Yeah, I didn't somehow manage to only sit at 231 yesterday.
You didn't like gain a bunch of weight after the cruise or anything? I assumed we would just from like sodium. Because those buffets and things like that, you're gonna have a bunch of just salt. Yeah.
Gyms in there, you just had to really get
Yeah.
in there and line
Weight felt good. Stimulus felt okay. Might just go down a little bit, even if it means we're getting higher reps, and just focus on getting that lat mind to muscle connection, get that stimulus back to where I want it to be. Did you see what Dan Patrick's trying to get rid of, like Delta 8 and Delta 9? It's like, bro, trust me, shit doesn't do anything for any of us.
Just find that to get a little bit of this off the lip is disabled and right. Sweet chill music.
I would hope so. You work here. One more set here. Just going to chase the pump a little bit here, see if we can get about 15 reps or so. Just get a lot of blood flow into the lats. I think it's a pretty common thing for a lot of people to not really feel a whole lot of lat stimulus or feel like a lat pump. And just understanding that to have a pump, right, requires blood flow to that muscle. And lats are such a big muscle. To get the necessary blood flow to pump that muscle, you got to do a pretty good amount of volume. A lot of heavy sets, things like that, are great to get it started, work those fast switch fibers. But then really kind of after that, some good, just classic pump work. It's one of the only movements throughout the week that I'm actually doing maybe like 4 sets of exercises per muscle group, or 4 different exercises. 2 bilateral, 2 unilateral, and I find that has really caused my back to grow quite a bit and explode. It's been kind of one of the main focus throughout this whole prep cycle, is trying to just get the back as big as possible, create as much width as possible, and kind of create a illusion of a really thin waist, because I do kind of already have a bit of a blocky midsection from all my powerlifting days. So not a whole lot of direct ab work, trying to keep the waist real small, not pushing food super aggressively, and just focusing on lats. Just like that, feeling pumped, feeling pretty good. A lot of lat activation, trying to keep it out of the traps. So just focusing on trying to drive the elbows low, not lift the shoulders up towards the ears or anything like that. And then focusing on pausing at that end range too, not just getting the weight there and letting it come back. Pause, a little bit of an eccentric, and then an explosive concentric. So moving on, we'll go wide grip pull downs, single arm rows, straight arm pull downs, rear delts, biceps, and then get a sneak peek for the check-in tomorrow. Going with the prime plate loaded, or excuse me, selectorized. Going with the prime selectorized pull down here for our wide grip variation. Try to stay very pronated and allow the diverging nature of the machine to create that kind of wider grip pull. What I found with a lot of wide grip variations is really overloading like the middle range, and those lats start to lose a lot of leverage. With this machine being able to play with the smart cam some, I can overload the top, make it a little bit harder in the top and middle range, and then a little easier in that bottom range where most people struggle with the wide grip to get down all the way. So for me, it's just a little bit more efficient, a little bit more effective, a lot more stimulus where I really want it, high to middle, and then to be able to finish at that bottom position and get it there more consistently. Feels so good. Trying to just focus on limiting rotation as much as possible. It's really easy with any kind of offset movement like this, especially you start going heavier and heavier. A little bit of rotation, feel myself kind of pushing into this bench and causing a little shoulder turn. So trying to minimize that as much as possible, keep that path really consistent, just elbow into the rib cage. But easier said than done sometimes. I wish the people in the photo that you're gonna take can hear this song. Pullovers, similar to straight arm pull downs, really the ability to be able to isolate that lat and not use so much grip. The only other thing you got to really look out for is rib cage flaring, like extending, chest coming up, abs coming up off the bench, or lower back coming off the bench, abs flaring upwards, and then triceps kicking in too much. So as you fatigue, you can kind of bend those elbows, keep those elbows from moving, and just shorten that lever some so you can keep the lat engaged and just kind of do a mechanical drop set from just a more leverage or less leverage position with the arms straight to a more leverage position just by that lever being shorter. Ooh. That was the only thing. Yeah, she was like, I feel like I'm clenching my jaws. Like, try to relax your tongue. Just like focus on your tongue.
Damn,
Yeah.
no one's ever told me that.
It's a Buddhist thing.
I'm just like,
It's like a Buddhist thing is like your body is never truly fully relaxed unless you can relax your tongue. And it's a dual meaning. So they're like learning to listen and not talk, but also truly like relaxing your tongue. It's pretty insightful. Pump, pump, Arnold, Arnold. Yeah, baby. Woo. Feeling good. Woo. We got, again, like 34 weeks to get like down to the show. And it's crazy, but 34 weeks, we're gonna do an even crazier transformation than we already are. Right now, looking pretty good, looking pretty big, still looking a little fluffy because we're high in calories right now, but I'm excited to see the rest of this phase play out and then start stripping away, starting to reveal things, because I'm not gonna say I'm gonna go out there and, you know, be pro level ready. I'm not that naive, but I'm gonna shock me. I'm gonna shock a lot of people because relatively coming out of nowhere. One of the best uses of those lengthened partials is that rear delt exercise where you can just focus on that range right there, where you're typically going to be the strongest in most length, and try and just hit that until you just can't move anymore. Rear delts, smaller muscles, a lot of stimulus required. Kind of up there with like calves and forearms, things like that. I feel like you just need to hit pretty often. Otherwise, they're not gonna grow, and they recover so quickly that you might as well just hit them all the time. Moving on to biceps, and then we'll take this shirt off, La Bear style. Very big love-hate bicep exercise. For some reason, this movement is just so difficult, so hard. Actually kind of makes me nauseous most of the time, but dumbbell, incline, supinated bicep curls. I feel like my biceps have really started to kind of explode since using this movement so heavily. Not really a movement I used a lot in the past, to be honest. A lot of just like preacher curls, regular like, you know, alternating dumbbell curls, which are all great, but I don't know, maybe just because this is the shiny new toy for the past 5 or 6 months. The biceps have seemed to respond pretty well from it, so. Fatigue sets in really quick, and honestly your body just wants to get out of that supination as fast as possible. Staying in that lengthened position is tricky, honestly. So Ooh. Just one more set. Ooh. Biceps are burning from that stretch. Ooh. Okay, so we'll call it a wrap there, and get a quick little pump check before check-in tomorrow. All right. Ooh, okay, so a little bit of water retention, a little bit of fluff from the bulk, but also just being on vacation, drinking maybe a little less water than ideal, having a little bit more salt than ideal. All those cruise foods, good quality, but probably a lot more salt than I would typically prepare for myself. So overall, feeling back to normal, feeling refreshed, feeling good energy. Was pretty tired yesterday. Knocked out legs. That was no issue. Got it in early while I was still feeling pretty energetic. But after that, definitely trailed off, tanked quite a bit, and didn't have much for the rest of the day. So today, feeling back to normal, feeling pretty good. Back to training normal client load and training with some good quality intensity on the pull day today. So not much else to say. We got a check-in tomorrow, got a push day tomorrow too. So a lot of chest, a lot of upper chest focused incline work, things like that. A little bit of shoulders, a little bit of triceps. But yeah, today was a lot of just lats, a lot of back, 2 bilateral, 2 unilateral, 2 vertical, 2 horizontal, and then just a lot of isolation stuff, straight arm pull downs, pullovers, rear delts, and then some incline dumbbell biceps with that gnarly supinated position. So everything's still kind of in the 2 to 4 rep range or set range, and then rep range 8 to maybe 15. First couple of sets in that 8 to 12 rep range, finishing off with a set in the 12 to 15 rep range. Just kind of how I like to do it, but also really just how Nick and I both like to do it. So let's just get a peek and see how things are looking before tomorrow. Ooh, feeling good. Mind to muscle connection with poses, feeling a lot better. Just putting in the work, putting in a lot of practice, trying to get that lat spread nice and wide and just grow. So speaking of growth, time to eat. Thanks for watching, liking, following, subscribing, loving, hating, all that stuff. And we'll see you tomorrow. Check-in, push day. Bo Alexander, Adapt Fitness, Dallas, Texas, and